Black Plasma Armour is the sixth full-length album from Membaris, a Limburg, Germany-based black metal band, a melodic but also experimental and avant-garde black metal band who really have their own sound here, and they've developed it over the course of several albums, of course. And the thing to know about this album is that they've reined it in from the absolute chaos of misanthroposophy before it and found something that is a little bit tightened up. It's just a little bit more connective in what it does while keeping the frayed edges the band has always had from an early step in their career. It was clear that they were always influenced by both Scandinavian and German black metal ideas. For me, I found that Mayhem was obviously an influence early on, and eventually ideas from dissonant black metal focused in there. There's always a little bit of an appreciation for the melodic black metal out of Sweden and possibly Norway in some regard. Generally, the classic influences that were feeding into their sound were yet finding something unrestricted and often dissonant and experimental later on. By the time we reached 2020 and I'd done a short review of the band, I really appreciated what they were doing, but it was a little bit all over the place. The idea was spread out and cut into various forms, and it made for a solid album that I liked quite a bit. I think it was very much the record to put them on the map. It was notable stuff. You could feel the influence from Abigor and everything they did, and it was that jagged, severe melodicism that they used to really tell their story that kept it interesting. I'd really appreciated Into Nevermore from their discography as I went through this. I think it was just a sharp record that had some of those peaking melodic ideas from the band that have translated into this new album just a little bit per my observation. There was extremes that they'd gone to on that previous record. And what we'll hear here is an evolution of those ideas into form. And on this clip, we'll hear at least how the guitar work lines up. So because this band has members of Porta Nigra in it, I assume that there's always going to be a little bit of a progressive idea in there, something that turns the tables on the listener and surprises them. I don't know if that was always the case with this record, but I would say that these are decidedly more tuneful pieces. They're a little bit more irreverent in how quickly they move between ideas, and the focus of most songs is escalating in stages. I call them micro-escalations in the review, but really what they are is compositions which work in stages and present big riffs on each record and work with a dual guitar rhythm interplay that is sophisticated. So as a fan of melodic black metal, that particular interplay is very much something I'm a fan of, but they keep it a little bit avant-garde and energetic, quicker to its point than the previous album was. And what that means is that we get a record that flows through its ideas in grandiose form. These songs build up into peaks as we go through the record, but then there are also pieces that are just fixations that are a little bit more experimental along the way. Nothing that breaks the flow of the record, but it was interesting to sit with this album and find it one of their most cohesive records since the late 2000s in terms of what it presents and the funneling of ideas down this corridor that they present. A very well produced album. Otherwise, I think I really liked the way that the bass was presented in most songs. I appreciate that they went a little bit weird with it, but they kept the chaos under control to the point where there are songs here and not just tracks along the way. So for me, this is just a solid record. It's a very high recommendation. It's one of the best records of January in general, and a band you shouldn't overlook at this point. They've had two records that were just extremely above average and excellent in their field. And I think that this is the record to cement them into something that is notable. Check this out for yourself. It released on January 21st, and go ahead and read my review for more of my thoughts.